Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flazanes, your producer and empowerment strategist. Today's show is a reverse of last week. Last week was the 5 keys to becoming an energy master with Christy Whitman. And Christy brought me into her Facebook group to share my message with her group. And we had such a great conversation, and she was totally on board with me sharing it with you. So I'm repurposing that Facebook Live here with you today. There is a video of it. It's at jjflazanes.tv, which actually might be easier to ingest and to digest because I get very excited. I'm sorry. It was a whole new group of law of attraction people. So I got excited and yes, I'm like a fire hose. Okay, sorry. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. And if it's too much, I understand because I was just spewing energy all over the place because I was so thrilled to be able to be me and talk about law of attraction to another audience that doesn't know me and just feel that we kind of are all on board. So anyway, that's your warning today. I also want to announce, very exciting, I can't wait. I have opened the doors to the 2021 Manifestation Bootcamp happening in October. Yes, it is a live event. It is my next live event. And I cannot wait. I'm so excited. And my mastermind people are excited. And my empowerment strategist certification members are excited. And I can't wait. So if you are interested, if you have been waiting to meet your community here, I just invite you to get on board now. There's an early bird price that will last, I don't know how long, actually. I have to sort of go back and figure that out. It might be till the middle or end of May. But nonetheless, when tickets sell out because I have a room that, again, I only have a certain number that I can fill. And between all the mastermind members and the strategists, we've got a whole number of tickets already spoken for. So if you're interested, and it's never going to be as low as it is now, you can go to jjflazanes.com/bootcamp and get your ticket. There's a 5 payment plan for those of you that want to do that. And then there's just an early bird special in general. And there's even a virtual ticket. And the virtual ticket doesn't mean we're doing we're not streaming it live. We need to create a safe space in the room so we don't have that access. What you get with the virtual ticket is basically all the videos 2 to 4 weeks after the event. So it's like buying a course, but you still get access to everything that we do. So if you're interested in that, that also has an early bird price that will go up. So again, go to jjflazanes.com/bootcamp if you want to attend the next Manifestation Bootcamp. So again, I apologize today for the fire hose of energy you're about to embark on. I'm telling you why. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I hope that you enjoy this amazing next level law of attraction conversation.
So today we have a very special Facebook Live. JJ, I'm so excited that you're with me today.
Thanks, Christy. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed our conversation and we have a lot in common.
We do. We have similar perspectives on a lot of things, all things law of attraction, which I just love. And I love when I have people telling me, do you know JJ? You got to meet JJ. Have you heard of JJ? Have you listened to JJ's podcast? So I'd love for you to just tell everybody your story, how you became the top law of attraction podcast and what your journey has been, just so that my listeners get to know you a little bit before we get into our juicy discussion.
Sure. Well, I'd love to be the top law of attraction podcast, but I don't think I am, which is fine. But I definitely have a very loyal, engaged tribe. So we'll start there. That I know that the people that I do impact, I hear from them often. They're part of my community. They're not only listeners, they participate in a lot of things. So I have a very actively engaged community. To be just completely blunt and transparent from the beginning, you have a much calmer, easygoing, grounded, because you've got Virgo moon, personality than I do. Okay. I have a lot of fire and I can get real direct and I get like cut through things to the point. Sometimes so much so because there's triple Sag in me. I'm a Pisces, but I've got triple Sag. And so sometimes people, that's very catalyzing for people. They don't like it, especially if they're dealing with something and I'm kind of like cutting to the chase. Right. So I'll get people who either love me or they're like, whoa, she's too much for me. Like, I can't, like, that triggered me in a way that's uncomfortable. And why I'm okay with that is because I don't know them. It's not personal. If I've said something that kind of upsets somebody, then I go, wow, I'm glad I could be the mirror to show you what's going on with you. Whether you do anything about that's on you, not me. But It's always my goal to put it out there, and not from a place of I have it all figured out by any means. So I am as vulnerable and as open and as transparent as anyone can be on my own show. So, I think that was what happened. I started out as a personal trainer, 20 years in the personal training industry. I still have that. I'm very good at biomechanics. I'm very good at science. And so I started a show called Fit to Love. And then after 2 seasons and 350 episodes, and I had different days of the week. Each day of the week was a different theme. So there was an exercise video podcast and a cooking video podcast. And then there was nutrition alternative medicine kind of theme, a wellness. And then Thursdays was psychology and behavior and mindset and everything really psychology based. And then Friday was my gift to myself day. Friday was my Freedom Friday. And I literally would not have given myself permission to do Freedom Friday without having, at the time it was 5. Then my now ex-husband said, well, you have to do Sexy Saturdays. And I said, all right, I'll do Sexy Saturdays. I'll put that in as a relationship thing, because that was kind of my thing also, about building and helping people to heal relationships, regardless of what happens on the path, because you can't control others. But, you do the best you can using all law of attraction tools, which is how I became more and more embodied in this work, because I needed it to survive. I needed it to thrive. I needed it to, not because I was doing poorly. I had manifested my husband in 3 weeks. I had my dream wedding. I was a very happy person. I didn't have the relationship that I wanted with him, and he didn't have it with me. Right. But so then I said, well, how can we fix this? And all the Sages in me want to learn. I love to learn. And so I wanted to learn more about, well, what could I do? And I would take responsibility. Well, if I'm getting triggered, that's on me. So what is it in me? What's my issue? What's my wound that keeps this thing that happens, me reacting to it? And so I just use all law of attraction and psychological, behavioral psychology and therapy practices and all the things, all the tools. My marriage was my life school. My marriage was my training ground. And if it wasn't for that marriage, I would definitely not be who I am, and I wouldn't have what I have, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I would never even have this podcast, because I started my podcast to save my marriage. And I invited people on to help me understand what I could do to heal myself and to contribute to him. So when after 2 seasons, 350 episodes, and I felt like I had such a good show. I'm like, God, I'm giving such great, life-changing information. And my numbers were good. They weren't amazing, but they were good. And I was like, my intuition said, they can't find you. No one knows that you are like a stellar rock star law of attraction coach. No one knows you're an expert in biomechanics. No one knows that you teach people how to do easy paleo and gluten-free cooking. No one knows that you understand law of attraction and all different kinds of therapeutic tools for relationships, because Fit to Love doesn't communicate that. So I said, so I took my 6-day-a-week show and I made 6 new shows, and I branded them differently. And the first one I put out was my Spirit, Purpose, and Energy show, because I had no offers. I had no funnels. I had no products. I had nothing to offer anyone except my spoken word and my information. And I thought, well, I'm going to quickly repurpose and put that out into the world, because there's nothing to offer them there. And I'm going to work on the funnel for the nutrition alternative medicine one and the smart exercise and the cooking show. I'll work that out. Well, I put that show out, and within not even a month, I got emails. Oh my God, this is changing my life. Oh my God, I was depressed, and now this is the first time I actually feel better. And so we got all this feedback, and it was this amazing co-creative experience like I had never had before, where I got to step into really talking about who I am and what I care about, and doing it from quite honestly, a very selfish place of saying, this is what I love. This is working for me. And I want you to know it, because everyone in my life, like my clients at the time, my ex-husband, they didn't really care. They didn't want to hear about law of attraction. They didn't want to know about this. They weren't asking.
Yeah, I get it. People thought I was
needed an audience.
Go ahead.
Right. So you do it, but when I say selfish, I put it out there because I care about it. I was in such alignment talking about it. and living it and experiencing it and working through it and seeing my own contrast and my own upper limits and my own growth. And so when I got that feedback back, it was, of course, should have been no surprise. The thing I actually wanted to talk about, the thing I was most passionate about, was the thing that actually brought me the listeners and the community and the success. So that's how that happened.
Absolutely. That's what happened in my business too. I had some pretty big marketing gurus. I wanted to speak about law of attraction in colleges. And he was like, no, you need to speak on suicide prevention because you have your sister and you have your sister's story, and, you know, colleges need suicide prevention. And so I listened to the guru guy and went down that path. And every time I stepped foot on a college campus, I was nauseated sharing the story again. And so I started bringing in the conversation of law of attraction at the end, and then realized I don't like talking about suicide prevention. That was my sister's story. I'm lit up about law of attraction. And as soon as I said no to that, I went full force in law of attraction. That's when my coaching academy opened up. I mean, like, everything happened. You have to follow your passion. There's just no other way. Yeah.
But we're so conditioned to wait for validation from someone else. And, you know, it's even still happening now. And in terms of like, I feel the call, but now with all the work that I've done, and as you've grown and expanded into what you allow to yourself to receive, and how, you know, how much more you expand with being able to receive the counsel versus what, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, as I continue to grow and like allow in, I keep getting the call. I'm like, oh, this is what you're going to do next. I'm like, okay, that's scary. Cool. I'll do it. I don't know what that's going to look like. And I know it's going to upper limit me. And I know I'm going to have my own transition. I'm going to have my own growth through this. But that's why I love this process, is because people think it's like a turn off, turn on, and that you learn something and then you're done. It's like, no, it's never, there's always an opportunity to be expanding and to be growing and to be allowing more and more and more. And it's not just be happy. It's not just think a good thought. It's not just ignore it. It's not what are all the things that people reduce law of attraction down to. Yeah. Say, well, it doesn't work for me. It's like, no, it's really, on one side, it's super simple, but there are the complexities of how you as a person, how we each interpret it, how we live it, how we embody it, what that means for us, and how we're supposed to, like, what's the next lesson for us? What's the next growth? Because it's not just put up a vision board and do some affirmations and think you're going to get $1 million. Like,
amen, sister.
Yeah.
Amen, sister. So you just said something I want to touch on, because I know that it tweaked me, not tweaked me, but it was like, yes, we need to talk about that. You have an opportunity, you feel a calling, and you're like, yeah, but it's scary as hell, right? What do you do with that scary as hell? Because you got to process the emotion, you got to process. So what do you personally do? What are your best tools for processing that stuff?
It's like, I might cry. Because I was thinking about this yesterday in the bathroom. Don't ask me why I was in the bathroom. It just sort of happened. I was very clear. I have that one of those like steel trap memories. I like remember all kinds of, and it's not random stuff like facts. Like I wouldn't do well in Trivial Pursuit or any of those kind of games. But I remember like what I was eating, what I was wearing, what time, what day, what hour, when a song came on, or when I have that kind of memory. So yes, I was in the bathroom yesterday and I thought to myself, feel the fear and do it anyway. And that's like something I've lived by, because fear is a part of our human journey. And it's just like in contrast and law of attraction, it's part of contrast. It's part of an indicator. It doesn't mean it's an end point, but for so many people, we make it the end point. We're like, oh, that scares me. Let me back down. Let me go the other direction. It's like, okay, well, guess what? Lessons will be repeated until learned. So you can ignore it now, but if it's a true calling, you are going to keep coming up against that. So eventually, whether it be you get cancer, something bad happens, you lose all your money, you get fired, you get divorced, whatever, like your intuition will knock and say, hey, this is something that you're being called to move into. And if you don't listen, the knock will get bigger and bigger and bigger until it takes you down. And so what do I do? Well, now that I have a community that's super like my soul family, and I get to be who I am, and I get to now without, when you have, I interviewed yesterday, one of my podcast mastermind members interviewed me on his show, and he's a direct kind of guy, and he's like 68. And he said to me, so he's like, JJ, you're very direct. He's like, how's that working for you? And I said, well, Jordan, I said, it's working. I attract the right people, and the people that don't like it. And I'm okay with that, because you can't wait to be validated to be who you are. But how many times does it take us a lifetime to learn that? Yeah. A lifetime between parents and spouses and friends and society, like all these rules of how, oh, it's not okay to do that. It's not okay to feel mad or be angry as a woman, or it's not okay to be powerful. So I'm, leading into this next phase of like, I'm embarking on something. And so what I do is I acknowledge it. You definitely need a tribe of people to be able to share that with. So I have a tribe of people, whether it be in a relationship. I've been in a mastermind my entire business career because I didn't always have the support at home or with my family who had any idea what I was doing. And as you've said, I think in our episode that aired this week, 5 keys to becoming an energy master. I'd invite every one of you who love Christy to come listen to the show on spirit, purpose, and energy. 5 keys to becoming an energy master. We go real deep with some very key things about law of attraction that you may be different than what you've heard before, and really simple concepts that you can apply right now to just get better at receiving and being ready for that next step. So you need support. You need the next level. We have to care enough about ourselves and if we want to grow, to surrounding ourselves with energy that is either there, like with a mentor, or with a group of people who are like-minded. So you have the safety of community, you have a tribe, you feel accepted. You have to accept yourself first. You can't get it from somebody else, but it helps if you get it from yourself first, and then you ask for it, and you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So no disrespect to the 5 people you hang out with the most, if they're your family and they're kind of like not so high vibe, right? But when you get into like that high vibe, I've got women out of my mastermind we had our first live event in Orlando a couple of weeks ago, and we had our first live call this week, and they're all like, what's going on with me? I feel like things are just flowing, and I feel more sexual, and I feel more open, and I'm crying more. And I'm like, cause you elevated to a new level. You were like literally bombarded with positive, higher vibration than you're used to ever sustaining. And when you do that, you can't help but grow. So I make sure that I have that container to go to. Mm-hmm. Now I've manifested the perfect relationship to do that in. So that was so great. And I feel just right on point. Like, I feel like I've manifested Doug in order for me to continue to grow. And he supports any reach I can make, versus in my last relationship, although again, perfect timing, everything was right. Nothing was wrong. But I only let myself grow as much as I thought he could handle, which capped me.
We have such similar paths. It's unreal, because I feel the same way about Frederick. I'm like, get ready, because here comes another expansion. Just when you think I'm now an energy healer, I'm channeling. The first time he saw me channeling the council, he's like, oh, okay, here we go, right? So, and my last husband, wonderful man, but it was like, I can only go because it's too uncomfortable for him. So, now it's like full permission to go. So
yeah. And it's important, if you don't have that in your relationship, you have to find it somewhere.
Yeah.
Find it in a community that is like-minded, so that you have it, because otherwise you'll always feel stifled and resentful, and then you'll hold that energy. And again, that can turn into depression and cancer and overeating and, whatever addictions that we all have, because we all have addictions to repress emotion. What it is, whether it be a soft or hard addiction, is up to you. But so acknowledging it and having that community is my first step. And then it's like massaging into it, and just sort of trusting that I'm now speaking it, I'm acknowledging it, I'm talking about it, I'm telling them what it is. Okay. And now I'm just waiting, because I got a lot going on. Like you, I got a lot going on. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait for the next nudge, right? That's what I love about law of attraction. Get in alignment, follow the impulse. It can be that simple. Get in alignment, follow the impulse. Okay. The impulse was to share. The impulse was to acknowledge. In my mind, I said, I'm going to do a retreat for women. I'm getting into sacred feminine work. There, I said it out loud. Okay. Sacred. Okay. So that's like, amazing. But I'm probably not going to do anything about it, like in terms of a live in-person thing, until next year. This year's pretty packed. And I need space for that, right? Part of being feminine is needing space. It has to have space, like birthing a child or creating a project or writing a book, which, by the way, I'm sure you all know Christy has a new book coming out. So make sure that you get the Desire Factor. go to thedesirefactor.com to get all the bonuses before the 21st of April. So
thank you for that, JJ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we connected, because you have a book launch coming and we teach similar things, and you have a new book, and it takes, you have to birth a book. You had to get the download, you had to write it, you had to publish it. There's a lot to go into that.
I'm 9.5 months pregnant right now.
With another book, or
no, with this book, I'm doing the contractions.
I hear you. I know. I've written 3 books myself. I know what that's like. And the next one's coming. I just don't know. I'm just waiting. I'm like, okay, I got 10 of them in me. What's next? I don't know. So I'm just waiting for that like information. But that's one of the things I love about law of attraction is just trusting the process and knowing that if I just stay in alignment, it's how I just manifested my house we're buying, which we're going to close on today or tomorrow. It's how I manifested Doug. That's how I manifested my ex-husband. So I manifested this new partnership that I'm in with a really awesome female group in health. Anyway, so trust, get in alignment, trust the impulse. That's the basic. If you can do that and just trust. But see, that's the thing. Most people don't trust. Right. They use their head too much. Right. They don't trust their body. And I literally like felt this in my, like everywhere when I'm like, I think I have to. And it was in response to wanting to help my mastermind members when I could feel like, okay, it's time to grow into more. Like we need to open up and to receive. What does that look like? That's going to look like you guys need to accept your femininity and your feminine power as I do. I have to, there's two scenes that recently make me cry every single time. One of them is in Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman. It's when she's going, and I'm going to cry right now. It's when she goes across the field. Oh, yeah. It gets me every time. I literally, I don't want to desensitize myself to it. Like, I don't want to watch it 5 times so that I don't cry. I want to use it as a gauge to how expressed I am, because I see that scene and what it means for me is you are not living your full power because you're afraid of what that means. The upper limit is you're afraid. It'll mean more people will be afraid of you, won't understand you, can't relate to you. They'll leave you. So that's what it means. But I acknowledge that. And then it happened again in some Netflix show that's out. Well, it was out like it's about like fairies and it's like magical. And at the end, the girl is like coming into her full power. And what that looks like, crying, bawling. And I'm like, okay, what is that about? All right. Well, that's about that you are not living your full power. And I don't even know what that looks like, Christy, because they're right.
Good Lord, girl, if you're not living in your full power, what is that going to look like? Holy moly.
I'm not, I know it, but like, that's scary because I'm a quality time person. So if I'm quality time and I want connection, deep, meaningful connection with people, and then I go like exploding power, like I go, oh, upper limit. What does that mean? I'm going to like, no one will relate to me. Then they'll think I'm really weird. And then they won't want to hang out with me, or they can't relate to me. They can't keep up with me. They can't blah, blah, blah. So part of the growth process is taking this one step at a time. And I did. So at my mastermind meeting in Orlando, I led us through a bunch of circles and like processes, and the last meditation, which I called an activation. So again, super tight group of women who are super committed to me, listen to the show on this journey with me. So I trust, I feel like, okay, they love me, they like me, but okay, I'm going to try this activation.
Safe.
Yeah. Safe. I feel safe. I'm going to try this activation. I'm going to lead them through this and see how this goes. Scary. I'm very scared, but I'm not telling anybody I'm scared. Cause I have a whole bunch of energy healers that are very powerful that I've worked with, that I've had at my events, and I've hid behind them because I thought, oh, well, that's them. I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or I've never done that. That's what they do, but I don't do that. And over time, I'm just like, no, I'm hiding. No, I can do that too. Just like with you. Oh, no, I'm an energy healer. Okay. Not that I'm saying I'm an energy healer, but like I have a power that I'm not accessing and I'm not using, and because it's scary. So I take them through this activation, because it's not a meditation. It is an activation. Okay. And they're also used to like grounding, because I got a lot of Reiki and like healers in the group. They're used to grounding because they need to keep their energy grounded. And I took them the opposite way. And boy, they all like, and I didn't even ask them afterwards. I didn't, because I was so afraid. I was so vulnerable. It's like, I cook. I'm a great cook. And you get invited to my house, like, it's because I know, like, and trust you. And I feel safe with you, because if you tell me that you don't like, if you say, because I make everything organic, everything's gluten-free, dairy-free. Most things are made from scratch. I make tomato sauce from scratch. I make all sauces from scratch. I make my own mayo. All right. So if I'm going to cook for someone, like, a lot of love goes in that. So I don't necessarily need you to do it back. But if it's someone that says, I'm like, how is it? And you go, it's okay. I'm like, no, you're out of here. No, you're out of here. Like, I just gave you a whole bunch of love. Like, I spent all day, which I love doing, but like, I need you to receive it and like, get it that like, wow, like, I feel so loved because you spent all this time, energy, and money on the best quality of everything for me. So I didn't even ask them how they experienced it, because I was too afraid to know at one point. And I allowed myself to be in it. And at one point, my little subconscious went, I wonder if anyone thinks this is stupid. And then I put it aside and then I kept going and I committed to it. And at the end, I was like, okay, I'm just going to be quiet. Now, since then, I've expressed to them that was me stretching. And I've gotten great feedback. Oh my God, that was so good. Oh my God, I was flying. And I really think that activation is what made me, feel like I am now on this blah, blah, and why I'm crying. And, and one person who's been at my events, she said, I did feel you stop. I felt you asked that question. I'm like, okay, good. Well, I'm glad we're all very connected. So, right. So it's like, just like I did with my podcast, I would never have started Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I would have never said to the world, hi, I teach law of attraction. Like who, right? Did you feel a little strange about that from the beginning? I mean, you were teaching something, but especially coming after you and Abraham. And I'm like, I'm not an expert at this. And my very first live event where people came from all over from listening to the podcast, I stood in front of them, probably one of the most profound moments. Cause like, I'm talking to a mic. I don't see everybody. I don't know what they're experiencing. Right. I get emails like, I don't know. And so all of a sudden I'm sitting in front of all this room full of people. And I said, guys, I'm not an expert. And they went, yes, you are. And I went, okay. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'll receive that. I'll accept that. I need to learn to receive. So that's my balance. That's my dance. It's the acknowledge the upper limit, acknowledge what that's about, and then love myself enough to take that next level, do it in a safe way, massage into it, make peace with all the things that come up for me of any sort of self-worth, fear of loss, deal with all of those individually when they come up. So that way I can always get into, because the reason why the sacred feminine is coming up for me, it's not about me. I mean, I will benefit from it, and I can go be a part of anyone's very woo-woo sacred feminine. Like, I don't care how extreme it is. I could be a participant with no hesitation, no problem, no fear right now. Now, leading it, whole other story. I got to become a whole different person, not whole different, but I need to expand into that next level to get anywhere near embodying that on that level. But it's time. It's time. And I have sort of manifested over time certain things that have led me to say, no, you need to deal with this. Okay, maybe you're not going to deal with it now because you got other things you're going to deal with, but this is something you will deal with, because too many women apologize for being women, apologize for being powerful, apologize for being smart. Oh my God. Apologize for being quick. Apologize for it's like, because someone else can't keep up with you. Right. You say, oh, let me adjust because I can. Down. Yeah. Let me slow down. Yeah. And I want to find the cross section of not allowing that, or not allowing that, allowing others to have whatever they have, and allowing the patience, the love, the depth of the acceptance of both of those, so they can both coexist without anybody needing to change.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you know this, but for the last 10, 12 years, I've been running goddess retreats. So I'm just cracking up at you with you. And I'm just going, I get it, because in order to do that, to step into that, to really lead it, to be the person that runs it, you have to be that. You have to embody that. And I'm also laughing because I'm usually the fastest one. Right. And it's like, and can anybody keep up with me? Right. And I had to literally accept that in my life, that a very different energy than a lot of people that surround me, including my husband. Right. He's like, go, I'll catch up with you at some point. Right. He doesn't try to slow me down or pull me back. And I don't try to drag him along. I'm just going to go and we'll meet up some point. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to just touch on this again. So Susan Jeffers said years ago, feel the fear and do it anyway. She didn't say repress the fear and do it anyway, ignore the fear, do it anyway. Feel the fear. And part of feeling that fear is exactly what you're saying. It's like processing the energy of that fear. And then you go into what's the fear about, right? But it's letting go of that energy first, because if the emotion is so high, you can't be clear. And if the mind and the emotion is so interconnected, the emotion takes over, right? So you can't even find the logical points of, oh, I'm afraid of this, or I'm afraid of that. So she was so brilliant in saying that, feel the fear and do it anyway, right? It's like move in that direction. So I love that, JJ. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah. I mean, I literally, because I thought about it yesterday, feel the fear and do it. Because I know many people have fear, and I'm pushing a lot of the members of my group right now, a little harder than they probably would do on their own. Although they're all super producing type A women. I'm like, just do it. You'll be fine. Just do it. No, you have 28 hours to like, just do it. Oh, but I'm overwhelmed. Oh, it'll be fine. Just do this. Just let's just do it this way. Just because again, I have all that fire. So I'm like, just do it. Like, cause you're going to have to learn anyway. It doesn't happen by thinking about it. It happens by doing it. And trust me, I am, another thing on this law of attraction path as a business owner in a health space and a personal training, life coaching kind of way. For a long time, I hung out with other business owners. I really hate networking, by the way. I have networked myself out. The word is literally like it's a swear word to me. I hate it because I'm sure you can relate, because I don't want to network. I want to attract. Period. End of story. Because guess what? Attraction is about being. Networking is work. That's why it's called networking. You have to work, which means efforting, which means out of alignment, potentially, not always, but potentially out of alignment. So I'm with a bunch of people and women, business owners, and again, 10 years ago or more, maybe 15 years ago. And I'm noticing, because again, I'm always using law of attraction. And I'm always answering questions. I'm always giving advice using law of attraction. And I'm noticing like my shifting. I'm shifting. I'm a great producer. I've got a ton of energy. I'm a manifesting generator. I got 3 Sages. I have this like endless kind of stream. So I recognize I'm not like everybody, and I have a lot of energy, and I don't tire out, and it's not out of anxiety. Sometimes it used to be more, not now, but it was then. I was chasing the feeling. I was chasing getting the thing to do the thing to feel the thing. And I'm like, no, it's not law of attraction, JJ. You teach this stuff. How come you're not living it? I was like, oh yeah, big mirror. So then I like changed everything. So I'm with these women, and I'm at a place where I'm giving advice to somebody who's starting out in business, and they have the luxury of like their husband makes plenty of money. He pays all the bills. Like they're in a space of like creating something new. And so I was like, oh, you're in a great place where most of us aren't. Most of us are just trying to pull it all together to pay the bills sometimes when you first start out and you don't know what you're doing and you're making choices that aren't well thought out. I'm like, why don't you research, kind of like think into and visualize where you want to go with what you're doing, and then find the platform that supports that, versus what most of us do, which is to make a choice someone told us to do. And then later we didn't do any homework. And then we find out this isn't a good place. Let me try to move my list. And it was in that moment that the rest of the group, because, they're driven by a lot of that masculine energy that I have too. No, just take action. Just take action. Just take action. Just take action. I was like, oh, for Christ's sake, they don't need to take action. There's like a being, and the action taking for me, action is easy. I do it all the time. But I understand that most people, that's not the case. Them doing anything does create some positive momentum. The whole thing, overthinking, overanalyzing. Yeah. So it was in that moment that I recognized I had outgrown that group. I was like, oh, yeah, we're done. But I felt this obligation. Well, should I serve them? Should I be here? I'm like, but they're not listening to you anyway. They don't want what you have. They want to stay in this efforting space of disconnection and taking action that's uninspired, that's not aligned, and thinking they're going to get successful that way when they're just creating more anxiety and disconnection. So, again, these are like pivotal moments of my own growth that I think we all go through. We have to be honest with ourselves when it's time to move on from something, whether it be a job, a relationship, a friendship, an association. It happened this week too. But part of it's that, and I know for a lot of people that they think that's scary, and it is. But again, we're here. And I know, this quote and maybe have said it, or it's my favorite law of attraction quote ever, which is that the only reason why you want what you want is because you think you'll feel better when you have it. So if we really embody that, then get to the feeling, because the thing doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And all of us have access to that right now, every day, day long. Mm-hmm. So Absolutely. It just makes all the things like inconsequential. Like you don't need the thing to feel the thing you want to think you're going to feel, because it's going to be temporary anyway.
Right. That's the whole premise on the desire factor. We think it's about the thing, but it's actually about the feeling. Mm-hmm. It's who we become in the journey to the thing. Mm-hmm. It's about who we become in the desire factor, not about the desire factor. Because whether it's a purse or a trip is over, right? A trip is now a memory. The new house, after you moved into it and you decorated, you've been there a while, and you kind of, it's now you're onto something else. But who you became in the process of attracting it, creating it, being a vibrational match to it, that's what the juice is.
It's actually very Scorpio also, I will put out, because I know you're a Scorpio.
Well, I am.
I know. Well, Scorpio energy is about transformation. It's about burning down like the old and the phoenix rising from the ashes, like literally transformation. I know a few Scorpios who I kind of joke that they don't feel alive unless they're constantly transforming. Like they don't have like they're never like settled. Like they're just always in transformation because that's how they feel alive.
Yeah.
And I love that because we all are doing that in some way, maybe to different degrees and different paces for sure.
Yeah.
Some are faster than others, but I think that transformation for you as a Scorpio, that makes complete sense. That whole like, because we're all, we're either, Mary Morrissey said it at Agape once, and I think she was quoting somebody else. I don't know who she was quoting, but it was that most people, what was it? It was something like most people live 99 lives. No. Oh, do you live 70? Let's give it a number. 85 years, or do you live 1 year, 85 times? Right. And how many of us know people who never change, never grow? They just repeat, rinse and repeat. But yet maybe some people, maybe like younger souls are okay with that. Like they're totally fine with that. That makes them feel stable. But there's some people that then like the universe and God and source or creator trying to tell them like, you're getting the call. You're just not listening. Right.
Right.
You're supposed to be growing. Like your soul wants to expand. So like, get moving. Right.
That's a ticket, sister. Yes.
Wake up.
Okay. Yeah. Wake up. Exactly. So I have so many other things I wanted to ask you, but I love in our interview, which is on your podcast, which is Spirit, Purpose and Energy podcast. You have to go listen to it. JJ, if you love JJ here, go listen to her all the time on her podcast. So you and I were talking about the difference between appreciation and gratitude. And you went on this rant for about a minute, and I'm like, I want more of that. I want you to talk more about your perception and what you know and what you have come to understand between appreciation and gratitude.
It's I'll first give the disclaimer that it's not about the word, it's about the energy attached to the word.
Yes. So
from person to person, the frequency of the word will differ for everybody. Generally speaking, when we say I appreciate, it's a little cleaner vibration, so high vibration appreciation, because it's literally a sentence. Like I can say, I have a ton of stuff on my desk. I'm like, oh, I appreciate this crystal that one of my members, I bought it from her, but she told me it was super powerful. So it probably shouldn't be on my desk. Actually, it should probably be further away from me. But I appreciate that I have her in my group and that she can educate me on how to use it and how to activate it and where to put it and when to use it, which we did talk about that. I needed some heart chakra work, which is why it's green and it's very heart chakra based. So clean energy, I appreciate, boom. It's like a simple thing. Oftentimes when people say I'm grateful, I have gratitude, there's an attachment to a story about what you had to overcome to get there. Which is pulling the energy forward of the story of the negative thing. So just like affirmations, you can say it and you can want to mean it, but if you have active what's going on right now, like I want more money, but you're feeling the pain of no money, then the affirmation does nothing for you because you're literally just activating the lack of having the money because that's what you're vibrating about. That's what you're feeling. That's what's being emanated from you. So I would just be careful because like it's a hot topic, gratitude journals. And I don't hate the word, but I do feel that I hear the story when people say, well, I'm grateful for, and even before they tell you what they're grateful for, you can hear there's a story about why.
That's
right?
Such a key point. That is such a key awareness. Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel grateful because I have my health, because last year I had cancer, right? Right. Like, so what we're doing is pulling the cancer forward, the negative. It's not clean. You could just say, I appreciate my health. Stop there. But something about
you guys, this is huge. This is such, you get to a place where it's like, it's the fine tuning of stuff. And this is the fine tuning of stuff. That is brilliant, JJ.
Thank you.
Because others can say, oh, I'm so grateful for my life. And there's no connection to the old story.
Absolutely. Right?
So it's the energy. And so it's paying attention when you're saying, oh, I'm so grateful I'm healthy. Because, and there's like you're saying, like there's a story attached to it. I'm just so grateful for this day. There's a different energy between that.
Yes. it's about the picture. So you and I talked about the first key in the 5 keys, I believe was watch your words. So again, the 5 keys to becoming an energy master on Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. Well, it's actually on most of the shows, but please go to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, because I feel like that would resonate with your people the most, because I do talk a lot about law of attraction. I give a lot of techniques and tools on the show. I did a whole show called How Can I? Did a whole show called How to Feel Better Right Now. Okay. How to feel better right now. So I do a lot of solo episodes in law of attraction that way. You have to so noticing your words was one of your keys, the first key of how to become an energy master. Okay. So let's go words and pictures in your head. Let's just go into the pictures in your head. When you say, I appreciate, or I'm grateful, what are you thinking about? Whether you say it or not, what are you thinking about when you say that? Do you have the picture of the bright, shiny, happy thing? Or do you have the picture of what you overcame? Because whatever picture you're holding, I promise you are emanating a frequency closer to that.
Brilliant.
So yes, the words when they come out of your mouth, but if you're really good about keeping your mouth shut, then you need to look at the picture you have in your mind when you're saying, I am grateful for, because I feel it every time I have someone go, I'm grateful for, I can feel it coming. I'm grateful for even body language. I'm grateful for this thing I overcame. Okay. Well, you're not vibrating at the level of, that's not a high frequency. That's where the thing was. That's where the contrast was. So I would just invite everybody just to be mindful of that. That's another way to test. Do I actually believe this? When you say an affirmation, I make $1 million a year. I'm a money magnet. If you don't feel like a money magnet, you are not helping the cause. So I would just invite you not to say something closer in your belief system. Say, I'm looking forward to becoming a money magnet, and see how that feels better than I'm a money magnet. Because if you say I'm a money magnet and you look at your bank account and you're like, ick, then
Liar.
Again, not helping. There is an alignment and a belief that has to be together. Yeah. It's not about the words. It's about the frequency of the words and the pictures you hold in your mind.
About the energy. It is. Absolutely. Okay. So one last thing I wanted to touch on. You help people, because I have a lot of coaches in my community that I have certified. People just kind of, come around because the coaching conversation, and they're wanting to build their coaching business. And a lot of them are thinking about starting a podcast. And you actually help people create podcasts and help them not only create the podcast, but monetize the podcast. So would you be able to talk a little bit about what you do and your service of that, and how they would, connect with you on that?
So the website's ultimatepodcastmastermind.com. So let me say, if you don't have a podcast, my partner, Doug, owns Turnkey Podcast Productions, and they help people launch their show. They do production. If you want production services, he's got an ultimate podcast launch formula where you can DIY it. You can buy the course, you can follow along and launch your own podcast. I don't really help beginners unless you're super serious. You already have an audience, you know what your message is, and you are committed to the long game. Because until someone decides that they're passionate about sharing their message, whatever that is, that they're super committed to that, and they prefer to talk it out versus type it out. So if you're a blogger and you don't like to talk, you may not love podcasting. If you love to present from stage or do videos or have interviews, talk with people, and talking is easy and you enjoy it and conversation is good, then, and again, you have to be really serious, because I really only work with the ones afterwards. So we've got an ultimate podcast mastermind, and we do coaching separately from the mastermind too, to help people and to create a strategy. In fact, we're doing I guess I could say that now. We're doing a weekend event, but unless you have a podcast, never mind. We're doing a sales training and marketing for podcasters, because people there's 5-figure podcasts are launched every day. I don't know if it's 10,000 or 80,000, but some huge number of new podcasts are launched every single day. Everyone has an impulse to do it, but most people don't sustain it. So I'm looking to only work with people who are super committed to sustaining this regular marketing practice. That's also content and a way for you to have an audience to get out your message and your whatever you want to do in the world. What we do that's a little bit different. And I never thought I'd be a podcast coach. Okay. Definitely not on my list, right? I do health. I do law of attraction. I do relationships, podcast coaching.
You even talk about vices too. We have so many parallel things, right? Drama and, all that. Yeah. It's amazing.
But podcast coaching wasn't a thing for me until being around so many podcasters for a long time, and then having certain people make offers to podcasters to get them to be podcast, and then having Doug be a podcast producer and hearing kind of like back talk of someone who is frustrated because they can't do this, or they don't feel right about their brand, or they can't get, guests, or they're not making any money. That's the biggest one. How many times I keep hearing once a person launches their show that they're not making any money. And again, it doesn't happen overnight, guys. It can. We have different strategies for making money before you launch, making money as you're launching, and of course, long-term sustainability. I've literally created my own economy in my show. I don't have to market or advertise anywhere ever, but it didn't happen overnight. I had to create it. So there's a strategy, and I'm extremely strategic in that sort of efficiency. And I kind of cover. So somebody was complaining about not like, she'd spent a lot of money on podcast coaching from someone who didn't have what I had, but she wanted what I had. And I'm listening from the side, and I knew she wasn't going to get the advice from that guy because he hasn't done it. I'm like, he doesn't know that he hasn't done it. You want what I have. And I knew she's like, yeah, I want what you have. I'm like, well, then let me help you. It was like out of necessity to serve people who were frustrated and so disappointed and depressed. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't this working? And I'm like, can I please help you? So that's how it came out. And then just hearing people that would invest money on the front end of doing the podcast, production, launching, whatever, and then somehow just magically think it was going to happen. Like just somehow money was going to show up without a strategy, without a funnel, without calls to action, without having a strategic way that you put your content out, without having the right brand, without deciding what your message is and how you message your, anyway, all of that stuff. So yes, we do podcast coaching. Ultimate Podcast Mastermind.com is a place to fill out a form. There's no fee to fill it out if you just want to have a conversation about coaching. Whether you have a podcast or you don't have a podcast, it doesn't have to be, that you're interested in the mastermind, although we can talk about that too. So anyone that's interested, I'm really passionate about people being efficient and being effective. And too often, just like with anything in life, especially business, and because I've done it and because I see where people are missing the boat, or when like the client last night who interviewed me, Jordan was very vulnerable on his show. He actually had me coach him on his show about his big leap. And somewhere in it, he was so uncomfortable. He said, although he didn't appear to be uncomfortable, he said, maybe I won't publish this. I said, no. I go, please publish this. I want to see how your audience responds to you. You want to see how they respond to you. I think that's why I have the audience that I have, is because I talked about my divorce on the show. I talked about the things that pain me. I've cried, not like, what's the word? Calculated. I am not calculated. I am extremely, I'm strategic, but I'm not calculated. So I'm not going to I'm not going to cry on command when I know so many people that do that from stage.
You're friggin' real. That's what I love about you. Real.
Yeah. Well, I try. I mean, I try, I'm trying to be the example and show people the path. Like, okay, we're all on the same path, basically. We're on different parts of the path. We're all growing. And if you're interested, that's how it goes. So, but I asked him, I said, please share it. Please just test it out and see what people think. Because I think even if you don't want to make money from your audience, people will want to listen to your show, and the bigger audience that you have, the better guests you'll get and the better sponsors down the line you could possibly get, even if you want to do a different kind of strategy. So we'll see if he airs it or not. But sometimes your messaging. I am not a host, and it's only come out of contrast over the last 6 years that if you listen from the beginning of the show till now, which is a lot of episodes, almost 300 on Spirit, Purpose, Energy, and almost 600 on Fit to Love. I used to be a host. Then I moved to host and producer. Now I'm a host, producer, or producer and empowerment strategist. Because I need people when they listen to the show to understand I'm not just going to ask, which is why, we now had this conversation. I'm not just going to ask questions and sit back, let you answer and be done and move on to the next question. This is an engagement, and I want to go deep. I want to go like as deep as I can possibly go in an hour, or a little bit more or a little bit less. And so I think a lot of people do vanilla. They're too vanilla in their marketing. They're too vanilla in the way they present themselves. And so people can take it or leave it. Then you're just another coach. But the ones that actually resonate with you, the ones that feel you, and if they like you, then they'll stay with you, and then they'll go on the journey with you. So Absolutely. If you're interested in podcasts, you want to reach out, we can have a conversation and see if there's, something I can help you with.
Awesome. In the meantime, you have to go listen to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy with JJ. It's amazing. I have my episode. We talk about the 5 keys to energy mastery. So you got to go check it out. And so JJ, thank you so much. Any final last words that you want to share with everybody about law of attraction, podcasting, appreciation, and gratitude, anything that's on the top of your head that you just want to share?
Well, another free way to help. So I do hold, and I don't know how long I'll do it, but I do hold a clubhouse room once a week. And it's my clubhouse. I have a club, Law of Attraction and Manifestation. And once a week, I do a creating positive momentum with Rampage of Appreciation. So it's literally, we spend an hour doing 3 rounds of rampaging. So it's an exercise. I looked at Clubhouse when it first opened and I was excited. And then I kind of got like, it's like, okay, too many business heady things. I'm like, how can I make this platform something I actually want to participate in? So a lot of my members and new people come and they listen. So if any of you don't have Rampage Appreciation partners and you want to come test it out, it's a free room I do now on Tuesdays at 5:30 Pacific time. And it's free. It's an hour, and you can come check it out and exercise. I don't know what kind of tools or groups or communities or advice you give for people to be actively practicing different practices, but Rampage Appreciation is one of my favorite. And so that would be cool to meet some of you over there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JJ.